Okay. Thank you so much for your patience. Today's class, unless you would like to play soft ambient music at home, is just going to use breath as soundtrack. I'm Sean McNally. I graduated in 2019 from Loyola and Marymount's Yoga Studies program. And with a lot of continuing much continuing studying, much continual studying. You get what I'm saying. I am teaching yoga full-time, philosophy and asana. It did take a couple of years of patience, but I'm using my degree and that's all I ever wanted to do. So I am so passionate about this text, the Radiance Sutras by Dr. Loren Roche. He's a PhD. He has translated, oh gosh, I hope Dr. Chappell doesn't think I say this terribly, the Bhairava Jnana Tantra, which is a conversation between the god and goddess, masculine, feminine energy, knowledge and creation. It is so beautiful. There's definitely, in my opinion, some creative freedoms taken in the Sanskrit translation, but they really help you engage and embody and feel the breath as it infuses your practice, your life. And so this is the text that we will use today in honor, in reverence to our practice. That's the word I was looking for. So I'm going to suggest you start seated, comfortable position, cross-legged, close the eyes. I'm going to recommend Gyan Mudra. It increases Vata, wind element, therefore the breath. In terms of this class, when I reference prana, I am talking to the breath. Prana is everything manifest and unmanifest, so it's infinite, but in terms of the body, we will use it for breath. I want you to just come onto the mat and just sit tall, completely royal spine. If somebody were to paint a portrait of you, this would be your most regal posture. Now, keeping the eyes closed, bring your attention to Ajna, the area between the eyebrows. And simply listen to the sound of your inhales and exhales. So no restraint, no control just yet, just honoring the sound of your breath as it enters this vessel, this temporary home, and then leaves. As you exhale, perhaps you make the sound of H-A-H. You might get creative and make more of a noise. Allow your inhales to infuse the body like you're breathing in through the ears and the crown of the head, all the way down into the belly, all the way into the fingertips. Keep the breath moving. Our practice is inspired by this verse. Breath flows in, breath flows out. Traveling always the curving path of the goddess. Breath flows spontaneously of its own will. Thus, all breathing beings continually give reverence to her. Be conscious of this unconscious prayer, for she is the most holy of pilgrimage. She wishes for you to enter this temple, where each breath is adoration of the infinite for the incarnate form. I love that verse. Softly float the eyes open. I just wanted you to make some breath connection for the first few moments of class. We're going to talk a brief philosophy from the individual to universality using our breath. If you'd like to grab a pen or a pencil, right now is the perfect time. And then we will utilize the practice with some gentle movements. So, Urdhva Prana, this is from Radiant Sutras, literally Lauren Roche's quote. As we exhale, the breath of life flows upwards into heaven where it came from. So when we take our inhale, right, we feel, for instance, like the shoulders are lifting, like it's an upward motion. So let's all take an inhale together. And now we're focusing on the exhale. What happens when we exhale? The breath rises, comes up and out of the mouth, or perhaps out of the nostrils in the practice of Ujjayi. And Urdhva means moving upward, rising, to go upward. And prana, many, many, many definitions, breath of life, though, in terms of this practice. Now, in the verse, in the Sanskrit, they use the term adas jiva. So adas is below and down, and it specifically refers to the lower regions of a woman's body, sex organs, creation organs, and the shimmering light, the shimmering radiance that is there, right? Because we are creation, we are creative, we are the creatrix. So jiva is the individual soul or the living person, as distinguished from the universal soul. So what does this mean? So when we take our inhale, it is a downward moving motion, right, of our breath, of our prana. And the breath of life, the breath of the ultimate, condenses into this wondrous residency, this local, this pot, this vessel. And it continues to flow down, like I said, and resides in the shimmering area of the pelvis. And this is how Lauren Roche describes it, the shimmering area, which I really love, because a lot of times we think of the lower region of the Sushumna Nadi as our lower chakras, but really they serve a purpose of beautiful light, right? They give rise to life, to cleansing, and also it is where we lift life force energy out of. So there's no lower chakra in terms of hierarchy, right? They're just lower in the Sushumna Nadi. Now, our exhaling motion, like we just talked about, upward movement, is the breath that leaves this local and it leaves the body and it returns back to the universal. So when you inhale, you're nourishing what makes you an individual. You're taking the external, you touch it, and then you give back. And it's this beautiful give and take. And as long as this body, right, is living and we're residing here on this earth, that breath doesn't stop. It's continuous. Even when we take holds of breath, kumbhakas, right? When we hold in or we hold out, we are consciously playing with the breath. So the breath is in abundance because it's give and take. It's always there. It's always a prayer. It's a reminder to be thankful that we are in this body. We have a lesson to learn. We have a purpose. We have a dharma. The breath posits connection. So these are my thoughts now. from reading the Radiant Sutras over and over and over. I use them all the time because I love to feel into my body and use it. So the breath posits connection with the self as well as universality. We attend to the local with inhale, so let's inhale together. We deposit prana from outside and we expand. It's an expansion. It's an infinite expansion from the inside out. So maybe breathe more in. We fill the diaphragm, the belly, we fill the heart. And then that prana is touched with the essence of our individuality, Shiva, the self. And then as we exhale, we give it back to the cosmos. And then we're connecting the self with the cosmic. So we are honoring, right, ourselves, differentiating. There's a duality here, me and that, me and him, me and her, me and that. But remember, I am that. Tattvam Asi, I am that. So the beauty of respiration is found in its commonality. It's not dependent upon ethos, practice, morality, race, gender, mental blockages, socioeconomic differences, or differently abled, or different abilities, I should say. Every single living being has an innate ability, right? We're born with respiration. And the physics of breath is the strongest connection, I believe, that humans have with one another, because we all breathe, no matter what. We all breathe. That is common and not very basic, but very common. It's a connecting thread. It is the method in which we first connect with the self. We come out of the womb and we better start breathing right away. It is a way in which we connect with the self. But with a spiritual or esoteric pondering, the duality of the self versus the other, or as Lauren Roche says, the attention to the infinite, we can realize that we are part of a whole. It's as if the prana, right, comes from this humongous bank, this cosmic bank. And when we inhale, that cosmic bank deposits its radiance, its coins, its thousands, its millions, its stardust, whatever you want to call it, into this piggy bank. And then we build the piggy bank with the breath. We exhale, we might give a little back out, we might give a lot back out, but we keep building the piggy bank. And then eventually, right, the piggy bank will break one day. We're liberated from this pot, and our prana, our essence, our soul, however you want to call it, whatever you want to call it, finds moksha, liberation, and goes back into that big cosmic trust fund. And maybe you stay up there swirling, maybe you're redeposited, whatever you believe or whatever actually happened, we have yet to find out for each and every single one of us. But we are all part of that whole. So every breath is sort of maybe like a little loan from the cosmic bank or a little gift. Every breath in or out is a prayer. And thinking this way will help you build abundance and gratitude, but also find dissolution of the body in a sense of finding a cosmic connection with others, with beyond this world, or even in this world. So prana is what makes us rich. The breath of prana connects us to, as Buzz Lightyear said, infinity and beyond. And if prana is everything manifest and unmanifest, then the give and take of respiration is a constant reminder of the abundance of source. So that being said, let's begin our practice. We'll use certain breaths, and I want you to just do your very best to take every breath as a prayer, to play with the breath, to focus on the sound of the breath. And by breath, I mean the whole cycle, the intake and the give back, okay? The expansion and the condensation. Perhaps you play with internal drishti points, sending your breath to different areas of the body through each asana. Perhaps my offering of an asana does not work for you. So that's okay. Take something similar, take something different, but we're all playing with the breath right now as a pula or a sangat, a community. So sitting cross-legged. First, let's play with some kumbhaka, holds, restraints of breath. I'm not going to get too much into all the Sanskrit terms we could be using for certain practices, just in case it's unfamiliar. We only have an hour, so we're going to keep it simple and powerful. So for all of you, I want you to feel your God, your goddess energy. And it doesn't matter if you're male or female, if you're feeling God energy today, that sun, that fire, that right side of body, connect to that, feeling that goddess, that dark, that cool, that strong, that creation, connect to that. Let the shoulders roll back. We're going to breathe in for a count of 5. If 4 happens for you, if 3, that's fine. Just do your best through the nose. And picture that shimmering radiance moving down the Sushumna Nadi, the spine, down into the belly you're holding. And then out for 5. Your count of 5 might be different than mine. We hold out for 5. External kumbhaka, holding out of the breath. This is restraint. This is condensation. After your count of 5, or when you can no longer handle it, we breathe back in for 5. Feeling expansion, feeling growth, feeling infinite. The universe is entering the body. And then exhale out. You're re-entering the universe with your touch of prana. Inhaling for 5. I'm going to let you move through a few rounds on your own, about 2, we'll say 2. Finishing your last round. And if I move on before you are finished, there's absolutely no rush. You will catch up. We are not rushing our breath today. So, as we move through shapes, you will play with the give and take. Remember, every breath is a prayer. You're picturing all of your breaths as shimmering lights. This being said, float the eyes open. We'll take a few rounds of Nadi Shodhana. Ooh, I can like feel that breath. Like my ears opened up. I'm ringing. I love that breath. It just makes me feel so alive on cloud 9. So anyways, okay. Finding Gyan Mudra with your non-dominant hand. With your dominant hand, take your peace fingers, place them between the eyebrows. I'm taking my hand down just so you can see my face. You can hold it there. We're going to breathe in together and out. You are still divinely royal. You are still tall. And then you are going to block your right nostril and breathe in through the left. Block the left and breathe out through the right. Breathe in through the right. All the way down to the belly. We're taking in that cosmic investment. And we give back. And then we breathe in through the left. And out through the right. In through the right. And out through the left. Hold the breath out. Let's release. Breathe in equally through both nostrils. Audible exhale, sigh of relief, sigh of pleasure. Okay, that was Nadi Shodhana. We use that to balance left and right nadis, Ida and Pingala. These are the two nadis that run down next, or they run, they like double helix, like DNA over the Sushumna nadi, but it's the left and the right side, and they're wrapping all around that major energy source, and we balance out, or that major subtle body source. That being said, let's come onto the knees. Touch the toes together, take the knees apart. Can get rid of my notes now, for now. And you're going to sink your glutes back as far as feels good toward the heels. You have options here. You may keep your arms completely relaxed and bow third eye to the mat. So this is side view. You may come up onto your fingertips and bow forehead to the earth. I will be taking the posture with you for the first few breaths. This is your chance to completely give in a shape, okay? You're simply giving in here. If you prefer to take a hands behind the nape of the neck in prayer, please do so. We're going to keep time starting now. And you may settle. Breathing deep in equally through both left and right nostrils. Audible exhale, perhaps. Feel into the inhale so much. Breathe in, expand so infinitely that it's as if Your ribs are moving to press against the inner thighs. And your inhales, remember, are for you, Jiva, for the individual. You're taking in cosmic energy. And your exhales are for the universal, connecting you, dissolving barriers of body and mind. If the mind wanders, return to the sound of that richness of breath. Find an internal drishti point. If you're feeling tension, gaze there from the inside and send your inhale there, taking it in, using it as a catalyst for movement, and exhaling any tension or particles out. It's just energy that needs to leave your body. Now, if you are not on your fingertips, please do come up and find your fingertips reaching out in front of you. So for front view, we are going to take our fingertips beyond the right edges of the mats and then press your left glute into the left heel without force. You are trying to keep the shoulders equally in line with each other. Now, this is like in a perfect world. We are not Lego people. So if you are not perfectly equal through the shoulders, that's okay. It's just an energetic intention. Now picture once again, that prana, that breath coming in the nostrils is moving all the way down to the Muladhara, to the Svadhisthana, into the Manipura. You're expanding. And then you perhaps sip a little bit more air in and you fill up into the heart. An audible exhale. And 3 more breaths here on your own. What is the texture of your breath? What color is your breath shimmering as it enters into your body? And how much space can you create from the inside out? Returning your hands to center. Take just a moment here to equalize the shoulders. So I like to sort of shimmy, just organic movements. Feel without force, space between the earlobes and the shoulders. And now I will walk my fingertips beyond the left edge of the mat. So I'm picturing your normal sized yoga mats, not my yoga rugs. Like, you get the picture. You can imagine a mat if you're not using one. And then take moments here. Perhaps you ponder, explore, Contemplate, investigate, word for this is vichint. Take care of is another explanation of vichint. Explore here, ask yourself questions. Find the texture, the color, the feeling of your inhales in your exhales. Return to center. Surrender, bow to yourself. Moving through a cat back. Tuck the chin, roll up nice and slow, like Swamp Thing. What a nice image, right? And then come into a tabletop position. Your hands are under the knees. Excuse me, your hands are under the shoulders, knees are under hips. And you spread the fingers really wide. This is to set up for down dog. Feel as if you're softly pulling the heels of the hands back to the knees. We're not forcing any natural curves out of the spine, but we are firming the belly. So Uriyan, you want to feel the belly flying back toward the spine and up via engagement. You're still breathing though. We don't have to hold a lock here. It's not Uddiyana Bandha. And gazing between the fingertips, press into the index and the thumb. And big, beautiful cow belly. Make your belly the biggest you've ever made it and freaking love it. Inhale. Tailbone tilts up. Exhale. Push the earth away. Be dramatic here. Feel your heart bursting back up to source. Look between the thighs. And then we borrow a little bit more from that cosmic bank. Inhale. And exhale. Now, perhaps as we move through the shapes, you'll feel as if the barriers of the body are dissolving, right? So, finding yourself becoming universal, becoming one. Taking out the jiva as the practice moves on. You can return to self after, no worries. Now finding stillness, neutralize spine, belly firms. Walk the hands about an inch in front of you. Flip your toes under and lift down dog. So when I turn throughout the practice, you don't have to turn. This is side view. When I face the camera, it's front view. Give the head a shake yes and no. Take a big inhale in. Let the elbows take a slight bend. Exhale. Now Uddiyana Bandha, pull the belly back toward the spine and up toward the heart center. Hold the breath out. We're playing with the breath here. Release the lock of the belly. Inhale. Audible exhale. Lift through the arches. Lifting your right leg up. Your right pinky toes do their best to face the earth. I'm coming into front view now. You stay. And squeeze the knee. Exhaling up into the tricep. Look beyond the fingertips. Feel infinite. Spine is moving in all directions. And then lengthen behind you. Perhaps you turn the toes back to the earth. Perhaps you open up the hip. This is your choice here. Where will you find the most expanse of the breath and the most condensation? Squeezing right knee back up into tricep. Place the foot down outside the pinky of the right hand and drop the back knee. So front view. See, I have a pretty wide stance right here. Now, option to stay on the hands, option to come onto the forearms. So side view. And you can move if something stops serving you in the practice. We're here for 12 breaths, so you have a few breaths to figure out what's working for you. There's a soft external rotation of the knee. Drishti point. If you're relaxing, you might curl the spine on the forearms. If you're keeping it somewhat engaged, your drishti point's beyond the edge of the mat. And you play with the breath once again. Remembering every breath is a prayer. Finding gratitude in whichever variation you take of this language. Where are you holding tension that you don't need it? Is it perhaps in the face, in the jaw? Release, that won't help you in the posture. We do need some tension in the legs and arms, and in the core, we're holding ourselves up. Tension not as in like, but engagement. Wherever you are. Ooh, softly lengthen that front leg. The hands can walk back. It's like a wide Ardha Hanumanasana, half split. Returning forward. Lift the left knee. Knee connects to tricep. We return behind us. Pinky toe faces the earth, so neutral. Hip. Place the foot down. Now I'm turning to front view for this side, but essentially you're lifting the left leg. Heel is magnetized, your moon leg lifts, and the left pinky toe faces the earth. Take a big breath in. And exhale. See if you can find exhalation out the side of the ribs. Fight your own movements, so there's resistance rather than fight, I'd say. And then bring the knee. Return it high. Place the foot down outside the left pinky. I like the left toes to turn softly out. The first few breaths are you becoming familiar with the pose. Even if you've done it a million times, every day is different. Use the breath to explore tension or places of vast open space inside the body. And then toes turn softly out. Hips gravitate forward. You take your variation. And we begin our few breaths here. Inhale. Where can you travel in the body with your breath? Perhaps with your exhale, you say a prayer for something, someone external. Who is that breath for? It can be that simple. This breath is for someone or something. Make this exhale loud. Next one, if you missed it. Walking the hands back. It's a wide Ardha Hanumanasana. Just finding nice length through the hamstring, never locking the knee. Always recommend keeping a soft bend. And returning to a brief lizard, you lift your right leg, sun leg, knee lifts, left leg, moon leg moves back with resistance. Place the foot down to the ground. Letting the heart lead, tuck the chin into the throat, crest forward like a wave in the ocean, high plank pose. The breath is still fluid. How does the breath change? How does the breath move you in every direction? Sahasrara, crown moves forward. The soles of the feet are shooting light beams out them. The spine is pressing through the skin. The chin's out of the Vishuddha throat. Drop to the knees. Sit to the heels for just a moment. Close the eyes. Left hand to heart. So I'm doing my true left and right, just so you know. Left hand to heart, right hand to belly. You don't move but for the beating of the heart and respiration. Feel the divinity that you hold inside. Feel the divinity of the breath coming into the body. Uniting you with God, with source, with creation, whatever resonates with you. We're taking a modified chaturanga down to the earth, meaning you will walk your hands forward to a tabletop position. This is side view. Then you want to make this a little bit wide so the knees slide back. You're over the tops of the knees. The elbows squeeze in. Take a big inhale. And as you exhale, lower all the way to the ground. Front view, you're right here. Lift the head up with an inhale. Slide the elbows out underneath the shoulders. Palms are making connection with earth energy, roots, and roots the toenails into the earth. So it's as if you had a new pedicure and you're trying to mess that paint up. And then you make this pretty active. So you're pressing through the forearms. The forearms are your rebound, rooting you to lift, just like a plant. Roots down, lifts up to that sun, heart urges forward, shoulder blades squeeze toward the spine. Now, if you're like, this is just, I want something more gentle, of course you can hang your head if that feels okay. If you are urging forward and up, urdhva, upward energy, you might implement ujjayi breath for a few rounds. Inhaling through the nose, keeping the lips closed. You tighten the glottis muscles of the throat. It's really a gross explanation, but it's like if you had to spit, if you were sick, it's like it's not as intense, but it's a tightening of the throat muscles like that. And you make a noise like an ocean. It's the same idea of the cosmic piggy bank. And now Ajna Bandha, taking your tongue, pressing it where the two front teeth meet the gums. Stimulating third eye, we find our reverence and prayer of breath. I noticed I started to sink. So reintegrate, make your choice strong. So if you are relaxing, that's fine. But if you are long and tall and bursting forward with compassion from heart center, stay there. One more breath, inhale, hold. Press the tongue so hard. Exhale, let it go. Let's all melt down to the earth. Hands come under the shoulders or thumbs next to breastbone. The shoulders are pressing out. Just try to orient them closer to the sides of the ribs. Root the toenails. Little cobra, look up, open your expression, the throat, inhale. Exhale. Now, taking your arms out. It's a little bit different for everyone depending on the body. However, it's as if the hands or the wrists are lining up, even if they're beyond, with the top corners of a yoga mat. And then you might take your feet out as if you were lining them up with the back corners of a yoga mat. So if you're not using like a standard mat, you just imagine it. And then we're pressing into the palms for seal pose. I'm returning to belly breathing, parasympathetic, in through the nose. Inhaling for the jiva, the self. Exhaling into universality. If this at all becomes too much for that lower back, there's compression. Lower down, make a pillow with the hands, rest or breathe. This is really all about the breath. The movements are to unlock and to open or to use as an ekagrata, a point of focus, so that we can really, really commit, dissolve into the breath. I was looking for the word dissolve. Softly lowering down. Press back, Utthita Balasana, extended child's pose. The toes touch, the knees come apart. If you see me looking, I'm just keeping time so we're not late for the next presenter. Growing heavy here. Walk the hands up to sit on the knees, Vajrasana, lightning bolt pose. Softly let the butt or the glutes fall to one side of the heels. Now, if your pelvis tends to tilt forward, you may want to roll up your mat or sit on a pillow or a block. If you don't have any of those, don't worry. So I know my feet are off camera, but I'm flexing them a hell of a lot. There we go. And the spine lifts. The pinky toes are pushing back. We sit tall. Connect to infinite expansion, royal spine. And let it go. The breath is a continuous play of opposites, full and empty. Option to stay here. Option to walk onto the forearms, to reach the arms out in front, to come all the way onto the belly. This is where you use discernment, vichint. Also to take care of the body here, vichint, investigating. Perhaps you walk forward with your inhales and back with your exhales. This is where you use the breath as catalyst for creative choices. And we're here for just about 30 seconds. Find a drishti point and let your breath flow. It's like waves of the ocean cresting toward the beach and pulling back. The inhale crests. And the exhale pulls sand back. Your breath is luminous. Your breath is spherical. Your breath is round. Your breath is full. Your breath is empty. Walking the hands back wherever you are. Wish we had 2 hours now that we're just getting moving, but did a little learning, a little moving. Give your legs a little shake, whatever you need. I'm a huge fan of the internal windshield wiper. I wonder what this is called in Sanskrit. I do not know. I'm turning to side view for you. You are going to turn your palms up. Let the heart feel buoyant, lifting back to the universal. And remember, it is the most important, our universality. It connects us to one, it connects us to all. And the self is a working part of the universal. Keeping the heart buoyant, roll down slowly all the way onto the back, one vertebrae at a time. I will stay seated. And once you make your way to your spine, close your eyes, hug your knees into your chest. Make yourself atomic, so small, grain of sand in your house or on your mat. So unfortunately, we didn't move through every asana that I had planned, but fortunately, we got a lot of breath in. Closing your eyes, reside on the spine. Try not to move and even try to give up your breath control at this point. Corpses don't breathe, it is Shavasana. Give in to gravity. Breath flows in, breath flows out, traveling always the curving path of the goddess. Breath flows spontaneously of its own will. Thus, all breathing beings continually give reverence to her. Be conscious of this unconscious prayer, for she is the most holy pilgrimage. She wishes for you to enter this temple where each breath is adoration of the infinite for the incarnate form. I'm highly urging you to stay in your Shavasana for another 5 minutes if you can. And I will just end here with I bow to you. Don't bow to me. Namaste. Thank you for your patience. If you enjoyed this text, it is the Radiant Sutras by Lauren Roche. And namaste. I look forward to meeting some of you in the future. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.